Happy
Happy
New
New
Year.
Year, I guess.
What's going on, everybody? That was even worse. Welcome to Fan Movie Fights. I am Chris Day, the judge, the executioner, and if you look at last week, the guy who got his ass kicked in a movie fan fight. So it's New Year's Eve. By the time you guys are getting this, the video's already out. But technically we're celebrating our New Year's, and 2016 has come to a very, very, very closed already. I can't believe it. But so we're talking about the best and worst of 2016. But today it's going to be a little bit of a match, you would say, because we automatically know these guys are going to take us to the speed round. We know this is a guaranteed. But here's the stakes. We have Chris Dohmen and Matt Beer 2. This is the Apollo Creed, Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier fight number 2. But here's the catch. So if Chris Dohmen wins today, he will automatically clinch the number 1 seed at 2-0. If he does not, Jen Kemp, who you guys saw kicks my ass really hard last week with a technical knockout, will be the event's number 1 seed for the tournament, and Chris Dohmen will go into the fight because if Matt wins, Matt automatically gets the 2nd seed. And yeah, we're going to figure things out because this whole thing gives me a headache. But February is our tournament month. So starting next week, before I get into the fight, we have pre-tournament month. So we're going to have all these new competitors coming in, and we're very excited for you guys. So first up, he's coming up with a 1-0 Star Wars win. Please welcome in my ring right now, the guy who's trying to make all of his dreams come true, just like Christian Harloff just did on Friday's Ultimate Schmodown, whatever. Chris Dohmen, how you doing, man?
I am doing very well. Thank you for having me on today.
Well, thanks for coming on, man. You're very excited about this tournament, aren't you?
Oh yes. Between trying to do this one and do my own, it's gonna be hectic but fun.
Yeah. And coming in the next ring, he was the guy who lost just by the breath, like Rocky lost to Apollo. So today he's up for redemption. He's up for redemption to the entire crowd because tonight he wants to be the number 2 seed and he wants to win that glorious belt we'll probably make and figure out who gets it. But anyway, in the corner in the next ring is Matt Beer. How's it going, man? How you feeling?
Doing pretty well. I got my 3 2-liter bottles of Coke ready to go for this match.
Oh, that's going to get you
You
hyped.
might need them.
He just saw Star Wars again, so he's probably feeling a little hype.
Got that going in my system, yeah.
Alrighty, guys. So I want to go ahead and first off state that I want to thank Matt for last week hosting. You did such a great job. I'm very proud of you. I just wanted to say that first off, you did a very good job, and thank you to Chris also for fact checking for this last week, even though I got my ass kicked. But now it's today. So today we are talking about the best and worst of 2016. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to let you guys know it's not about the best argument. It's about who presented well more. So we're going to talk about 2016. So let's get to it. And instead of doing the 20-second and 10-second rebuttal that we used to do, we're just going to keep that for the speed round. And we are just, as of right now, going to have these 2 arguments until I give a final argument note. So here we go. Let's go. Are you guys ready?
Let's do it.
It's ready for everything.
Let's fight. Okay, so number 1, the first question. What is the best film of 2016? Chris, the floor, whatever, goes to you.
Thank you. So what for me constitutes the best film is what gets the most of an emotional reaction out of the viewer. Because that's why we go to the movies. We go to escape reality. We go to experience things that we can't experience in our everyday reality. So for me, that movie was none other than the amazing Jeff Nichols helmed Midnight Special. This for me is the perfect sci-fi film because it gives just the most amazing method of storytelling where you are thrown right into the action and you pick up the context clues as you go along. And it becomes very clear to you that what the director is doing is painting this amazing picture through great performances from Michael Shannon, Joel Edgerton, and Kirsten Dunst, as well as Adam Driver. And what they do with the characters that they're given is give a life to them that you honestly are blown away by. Especially the child actor, even though I'm forgetting his name right now. This is kind of embarrassing for my argument, but he is hands down one of the best kid performances that I've seen in a very long time. And the other final reason that I'm so in love with this film is that the ending was both vague yet satisfying, and it is so touching. It is so heartbreaking, and in my opinion is one of the most perfect film endings I've ever seen. And it gave me an emotional high that I honestly felt for the next day. So that's why, for me, Midnight Special.
Okay. And we want to point out just first off that some of these guys haven't seen like all the big movies you guys are expecting, like Manchester by the Sea or Moonlight. So this is their own personal opinion. And let me know, you guys, down in the comments, what is your personal favorite? But that being said, Matt, the floor is to you.
Yeah, like Chris said, we haven't seen all of these big movies.
Except for me. Mostly I have.
Besides Chris. I haven't seen La La Land. I haven't seen Moonlight, or Manchester by the Sea. So I want to throw that out there because I'm sure those are great movies. But, I agree with Chris. I agree with him on, I like to get an emotional feeling to the movie. I like to feel something when I go to the movie. So that's why I went with Hacksaw Ridge. Now, Hacksaw Ridge is a movie that may be the most, it depicts war, the more realistic than any other movie has. And the reason why I say that is because there were a bunch of veterans who actually got to see the movie early, and they said that movie reminded them exactly of how the war went. As Mel Gibson said, he doesn't look at it as a war movie. He looks at it as a love movie or a love story. And the love story is one of the better ones I've seen maybe in a long time. Andrew Garfield is just incredible in the movie. And a lot of people are mentioning him, but I think you should mention this guy. Hugo Weaving gives one of the best performances of the year, not just for supporting, but of the year. His performance was so raw. It felt so real. And that's how a dad would react. And, it was almost like I was watching somebody who wasn't a character. It was like somebody I could walk outside and meet. He was absolutely incredible. And Teresa Palmer, who usually isn't that great in movies, she's been good. Don't get me wrong. Before this one, she's been good. But I believe it was Lights Out she was in, lately. She wasn't that great in it. But she was fantastic in this movie.
Attractive, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. And, that's a testament to one of the better directors working today, Mel Gibson. He knows how to capture, anything realistic, and he can get the best performance out of an actor or actress. And also Vince Vaughn, who knew how good he was going to be in that role. A lot of people think of him as like the comedy guy, but he brought it, like the dramatic role, and, he was the perfect choice. So that's why I got to go with Hacksaw Ridge. Beautiful film all around.
Okay, gentlemen, fight it out.
So, don't misunderstand me. This is comparing an apple to a freaking avocado. So,
yeah.
The main issue with Hacksaw Ridge, you could make the argument, is that the first half is so freaking predictable. You know exactly how the scene's going to play out. You know exactly how events are going to go. You know that you're going to get that just, breaking, heartbreaking scene where with Hugo Weaving and Teresa Palmer, yada yada yada. With Midnight Special, what made it so much more endearing, at least as a film, is the simple fact that you really did have no idea what was going to happen at what spot. Like, let's say at the gas station where the kid, takes off his goggles and then literally brings a satellite to the ground, or like how the Coven, where he is originally from, they literally kill people out of the blue just to try to cover up what they're trying to do for this kid. The problem with Hacksaw Ridge is while yes, it's a great film, the first half is so predictable.
All right. Now, to be fair, I haven't seen Midnight Special in a long time, and I do remember really liking the movie. But even now, I can remember, that it wasn't as unexpected, I guess, as you're trying to say. As soon as he took the glasses off, he knew something was going to happen. You knew the kid was going to do something to stop this, alien invasion, if you may call it that. And you knew that all of them weren't going to die. And thanks to the trailers, which, I hate, you knew he was going to be taken in by the government to be questioned, so they could study him or whatever. And I knew, he was going to be taken back at the end as well. But with Hacksaw Ridge, I don't know if you would call it, just predictable, because there's things that happen in that movie, in the first half anyway, that aren't really predictable. Like, you don't know the brother's going to go to war. You don't know how the dad's going to react. He might, be fine with it. You just don't know, because he already has a son that's going to war. But let me get my train of thought real quick. I had something in my head and I completely forgot it just a second ago.
Here's the other thing, though, too, at least in terms
yeah.
of Hacksaw Ridge. While, yes, you had a couple of standouts in the terms of the supporting cast, like your Vince Vaughn or your Hugo Weaving, and you can make an argument for Teresa Palmer, even though I didn't care for her as much in the film. At least in terms of Midnight Special, literally all of the main players are interesting. All of them convince you that, oh my god, they almost take you out of the film in the sense that you feel like you're watching this in real life. You're feeling like, you're watching real events because these people are giving such real emotions and they're making such real choices, like how when Joel Edgerton just shoots the cop, you're like, oh my god, did he really just do that? But to be fair, given the circumstances, that's how somebody in real life would react to something like that. Like, that's... I just didn't feel like there was really much of that in Hacksaw Ridge, at least in the first half. Towards the second half, once we're actually in the battle in the war zone, yes, it did get better, but it's that first half, man.
Well, I thought the first half was absolutely beautiful in the movie as far as telling this love story and, telling the story of Garfield and, how he grew up and how he became who he was. And also how he learned why he won't pick up a gun, I thought, was unexpected. I didn't expect him, spoilers, in case you haven't seen
spoiler,
it. But,
spoiler alert.
Where,
Okay.
I wasn't expecting the reason why he won't pick up a gun, or let alone shoot anybody, was because he almost shot his dad, and he didn't want to go through that again. So there's that. And like I said, you said, besides some of the, main supporting, characters in Hacksaw Ridge, some weren't that interesting. I would say besides, the kid, Michael Shannon, Joel Edgerton, Christian Dunst, and maybe Adam Driver, because he just wasn't in it very much as far as I remember. There was nobody memorable or, interesting, and I didn't really care about the others. And I almost didn't even care about, I believe it's either Michael Shannon or Joel Edgerton. One of them I didn't even care about.
All right, guys, final arguments.
The reason that Midnight Special just works better and should be named as the best film of 2016 is because it had a script that took you all over the place. The execution of the film took you from emotional lows that you didn't know were necessarily that you could get to, and then the ending, the fact that they made it so mysterious and vague but still so clear and satisfying, that is why for me it's the best film of 2016.
Okay, Matt, final argument.
And while Midnight Special is a good movie, I don't want to say it's not good. It is a very good movie. While it is that, Hacksaw Ridge is not just the best movie of 2016. It may be one of the best war movies ever made, period, with Mel Gibson being back in form, almost fighting with Braveheart for, what's his best movie. Braveheart's still his best movie, don't get me wrong. But this is a beautiful story about a man who goes through hell all over the place that never loses his faith. No matter what he goes through, he never loses his faith. And that's something I think we all should strive to be as human beings.
Alrighty, guys. Okay, so I'm gonna call that for that first round fight. Ding ding, I guess you would say. So here's the thing. This was a tough one. Like Andy Signor would say, this is tough. Okay. As for fact checking, while I was checking while you guys were doing that, like Matt said, as you look at the top 10 movies of the year, people automatically for the year right now are looking at Manchester by the Sea, Moonlight, La La Land for most of them, but a lot of people are actually not giving Midnight Special the benefit of the doubt, and Hacksaw Ridge is one of those movies that is getting the Oscar buzz a lot recently. So, but for fighting, I'm going to give it to Matt on this round, and here's the reason why. I think I was on his side when he started talking about, like, the fighting and, like, how he's... Because I was on your side for half of it when you said it's about the emotion and things like that. But when Matt started talking about why he wouldn't pick up the gun and why he started doing all that, I think that's what really sold me. So I'm going to give Matt the first point, but I still think this is going to be a very close fight. So going into round two, guys, I want to know what is the worst film, because we have had a lot of bad movies. As for me, my favorite film of 2016 was Manchester by the Sea, like you guys are saying, a movie that made you feel emotion. The worst movie for me of 2016 was a movie that made us all want to just cry in pain. But what the worst movie for me was Independence Day 2. What is the worst movie of the year, guys? Matt, I'm going to kick it off to you first.
All right. So I watch a lot of movies. I'm going to get that out of the way that are around here, which means I see a lot of horrible movies. Yes, Independence Day is really bad. Yes, Ride Along 2 is horrible. But the worst movie of 2016, which nobody should ever watch again, and if you are a parent and you show your kid this, you should get your kid taken away from you, and you should get your head cut. People should look at you mentally. It is Norm of the North. Now, Norm of the North is this wonderful story of how these real estate people, they want to build a bunch of houses in the North Pole, which makes no sense at all. So we have Norm. Norm is a polar bear who twerks. He goes to New York or wherever to try to make them stop building houses in the North Pole, because that's how every normal person would think. It has some of the most cheap animation ever that would make any animation back in the 1930s look like, Inside Out, good, or Finding Dory good, or even Moana good. It's a horrible story. The acting all around is horrible. And, I mean, what should you expect with that? It stars Rob Schneider as this wonderful polar bear. So those are some of the reasons why I think Norm of the North is, in fact, one of the worst movies maybe of all time.
Okay, Chris, hands off to you. You have the floor.
Okay, I will admit I wasn't expecting you to just go that far that quickly, but I think I can beat it. First off, Norm of the North is an awful film, but it had nothing to save it. So, for me, what always defines the worst is what has the most potential and how far does it squander said potential. So for me, the worst movie of the year is Risen. That film is freaking awful because it takes a really interesting premise of a Roman soldier trying to find Jesus' body after the resurrection, and how this centurion is literally going all over the Roman countryside trying to meet up with the disciples, trying to find Mary Magdalene and whoever and be like, where is his body? And the fact that the film immediately doesn't, try to be all religious and preachy and tries to actually have a balanced mind to it, that makes it more fascinating. But then, literally, it takes a 180-degree turn when our centurion, played by Joseph Fiennes, encounters Jesus, and then instantly, he's a believer. I mean, Christ, Anakin Skywalker's sudden conversion of faith had more development and more time dedicated to it than the turn that Joseph Fiennes has. And the fact that, like I said, they took a film with this much potential and just crapped it out, that makes it the worst film of 2016.
Okay, gentlemen, fight it out.
You see, I knew that movie wasn't going to be that great. I just knew it because of the studio that made the movie. But I didn't hate it like you did. And like you said, some of it was fascinating. And I thought Joseph Fiennes was actually pretty good in the movie overall. And whoever the guy in Harry Potter,
Tom Felton.
yeah, him. I thought he was really good in the movie too, and he should get more roles than just in TV. With Norm of the North, there's nothing good about it at all. Absolutely nothing. Like I said, all the acting all around is horrible. It's just this really stupid movie that was actually made to be straight to DVD. And then they decided, let's make a couple bucks off this real quick. Risen looked beautiful with the cinematography. Norm of the North looked like a sixth grader could have made it with, on their computer.
Here's the problem with your argument, is that it's kind of like making the comparison of saying something like Sharknado: The Fourth Awakens sucked balls, which, yeah, sure, it did. But what's worse? Something that is awful consistently throughout, or something that actually has interest, something that actually has potential, but then just throws it all away because it has to push a bullshit message. Because it has an agenda that it has to meet. That, to me, is far worse than something that is just straight up awful. I will take straight up awful over something that promises me one thing and then cops out to give me something else.
Well, to me, something that's the worst movie of the year or is worse than something else, it's just something that's, just flat out awful and has nothing good about it. Like I said with Risen, there's a couple good things about it that you can go out of and be like, I like this, And also when you said, the fact that, Joseph Fiennes' character, when he first sees Jesus, and he all of a sudden becomes a believer, how you said that was unrealistic or whatever. Um, how would you act if you saw someone like Jesus Christ walk up, or someone who was Jesus Christ walk around? I mean, depending on the
I'd question
situation,
it,
with
plain and simple.
I'd probably go, "Are you Jesus?" And then, his beautiful masculine voice would be like, "Yes, son, I am." Right there, I would believe. Yeah, like I said, Risen has some good things with the movie. It's a beautiful movie to look at when you watch it on screen. The action is actually not too bad in that movie, when usually the movies that company makes isn't that good. But like I said, Norm of the North, it looks absolutely cheap, and there's nothing good about it. And what can you expect from a movie starring Rob Schneider?
Okay, gentlemen, final closing thoughts.
To me, again, to reiterate this one last time, for me, what defines worse is what ultimately makes it comes down to what makes a person the most emotional. And I didn't feel anything from Norm of the North. I knew it was bad, and that's why I was just like, yeah, no, I don't care for this. Yeah, sure, the Lemmings are just a cheap Minions knockoff, and Norm is just Rob Schneider and doing a bad voice again. But what for me constitutes awful is when you have something that has so much potential, that has so much going for it in the right direction, but then it throws every ounce of that away because it has to enforce an agenda. And in my opinion, art should never have to have an agenda forced into it. So,
okay, Matt,
argument.
Closing arguments.
All right. To me, like I said, something that's worse than another thing is something that's just flat out awful and has nothing good in it at all. Like I said, Risen has some good things in it, and it's also really cool to see the story of Jesus, rising from the dead in a different perspective. We see it in the Roman soldier's perspective, and we never got that before. Joseph Fiennes was really good, I thought, in the movie. Harry Potter's enemy was also good. I keep forgetting his name, but whatever. The cinematography looked good. Yeah, Tommy Boy. He was good. The cinematography was pretty good too, especially for a movie that company makes. And also, the action wasn't too bad. While Norm of the North is a very cheap movie with Rob Schneider playing a polar bear that twerks. What a wonderful
Okay.
message for kids.
Okay, I'm going to call it there. We can all admit, first off, that Rob Schneider does not care about his fucking career. We'll say that right now. Oh my god.
Oh, he said it. He
Yeah,
does his own.
exactly. But that being said, I'm going to give the point to Chris, and here's the reason why. Because it's what he said. The last argument really closed what he said. I think we all know that a movie is like the best or the worst based on emotional feeling. I feel like say with the Independence Day, I was so excited for this movie. I was really excited, but when I came out leaving halfway because this isn't the movie people really want. This is a film that even though you agree on, you can be like, oh, okay, this movie sucks ass or something like that, or you can go ahead. But if you're feeling that rage inside, and I felt like he really provided that. While you said, yes, I've not seen either of these films, but this is just on me, what they're saying about the movie, and I have no plan on intention on seeing either of these. What you're saying is, yes, it's like really bad and it's meant to be a movie for kids, but they wanted just to make money because, oh, what the hell, it's better than just being on Netflix and everybody can watch it for free. So that being said, we all knew this was going to be a close match anyway, but Chris gets the point, which leaves us to 1-1. Let's move on to the third round. The third round is what is the best performance of 2016? Chris, you have the com.
All right. So for me, the best performance is when you have an actor literally become the character. And you can say what you want about voice acting, but because I honestly feel like that's even harder to do considering you're working with just voice and hopefully good animation, I'm choosing Art Parkinson as Kubo in Kubo and the Two Strings.
Wow.
The reason why is he, for all the Game of Thrones out there, that would be Rickon Stark. The reason I'm saying Art Parkinson is because literally he captures the nuances of the character so perfectly. He manages to convince you that it's this kid who's a great storyteller, who's a great musician, who has more to him than meets the eye, but he never is boastful. He's never really like super proud, but he is still in the sense of a kid how he wants the attention. That's why he tells the stories. That's why he does what he does to try to help his mother, because like any good kid should, he tries, he wants to do something that's good for people but also can serve himself too. And that's what kids do. That's totally what kids do. And it totally takes you back to sorry. Sorry. Here, okay. Last point I was gonna make. Sorry. The simple fact remains that because the actor portrayed the character so well in the voice, and the fact that the animation was just perfect for the character, that's why the performance backs up why the character is so great in the film.
Okay, Matt, you have the com. Go ahead.
All right. I'll be honest. I didn't expect you to pick that at all. I didn't even know the kid's name. But anyway, for me, it's another surprising factor. Like I said, I haven't seen Manchester by the Sea. I haven't seen La La Land or Moonlight, so I can't pick any
I
of
will
those
say
guys.
Manchester. That's my pick. So go ahead.
All right, but to me, I believe after thinking about it for a long time, I could have went with Garfield. I could have went with Hugo Weaving. I could have went with a couple other people. But thinking about it, this has always stood with me. I'm picking Robert Downey Jr. from Captain America Civil War.
Wow.
Now, here is why I'm picking Robert Downey Jr. over Captain America Civil War. Yes, we, have come to expect Robert Downey Jr. is always really good as, Iron Man or Tony Stark. You could say the last, two movies he was in, he wasn't the, he wasn't as good as, he usually was. But in this one, it was almost like he wasn't, playing Robert. It was almost like he wasn't Robert Downey Jr. It was like he became Tony Stark more than anything. I truly believe this may be his best performance of his entire career. It's either this or Chaplin, I believe, is his best performance of the year. It's so raw. It just feels very real. Especially spoiler alert for all the people, one or two of you who haven't seen Captain America Civil
Yep.
War.
Spoiler alert, everybody. Spoiler alert.
When Tony finds out that Bucky killed his mom and dad, how he snaps, how his emotions get to him was lifelike. It was something like I've almost never seen before, how he turned in a comic book movie. So with all these things and a couple others I'll say for my rebuttals, that's why Robert Downey Jr. is my pick for Best Actor of 2016 or Best Performance.
Okay, gentlemen, fight it out.
The thing is, we have seen this, though, from Robert Downey Jr. We have seen him give this level of performance. I mean, Christ, look at his freak out in Tropic Thunder when he's freaking out on Ben Stiller with the whole, I'm the dude playing a dude disguised as another dude bit.
I know who the dude is.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, this wasn't even his best performance as Tony Stark, to which I will always say the first Iron Man is his best performance as Tony Stark, because at least in terms of the character, he has the biggest arc. And as the character, Robert has to, pretty much had to, literally change his career from being this, guy who had some drug problems to a guy who was now in the spotlight and had to be squeaky clean all the time. He's already been this for years in Civil War, so I'm not going to say it was phoning it in, because no, he still did a great job in certain scenes, but for the overall performance, it wasn't to the level of the first Iron Man. Whereas Art Parkinson, again, I'm going to reiterate this, he sold you on his vocal performance alone. Hell, you could have given him Norm of the North quality animation, and I still would have been sold on the performance. I still would have been convinced this kid is a real kid that truly is a good kid at heart.
Yeah, and let's be honest, like, to me anyway, you could give another child actor that role, and I think he would do about as good. I'm not saying every kid could do it, but it's not like he's the only guy who could play the role. You could give it to Jacob Tremblay, and I'm sure he can knock it out of the park. Given good direction, like he was in Room, which he should be nominated for, or he should have been.
Yeah,
Robert Downey Jr. was born to play Iron Man. Nobody else could play Iron Man like he could. Yeah, he could recast him once he's done, but it's never going to be the same. The performance is never going to be the same as an Iron Man, the first one, like you said, which was great, or in this one, which I believe is his best performance in the MCU for sure. We have never seen him give this much emotion in scenes, like it before. Like I said, the way he almost just snaps instantly. You could see in his face how devastated he was when he saw Bucky kill his parents. We never saw that from him in any of the Iron Man movies at all, or Avengers, or any of the other movies he had a little cameo in. And like I said, the Alan kid, he was good in the movie. Don't get me wrong. But that wasn't even the best animated performance of 2016. You could look at the girl from Moana, or you could look at even Ellen DeGeneres. Even Ellen DeGeneres was great, and I thought she might have been a little bit better than him, because I don't think anybody could play Dory like she could. However, another kid could potentially have played Kubo like Jacob Tremblay, or another great kid actor, maybe even better too. It just would sound a little different as far as the voice.
Okay, gentlemen. Final argument. Go ahead.
My one issue with Tony Stark in Captain America Civil War is when it's the end of the film and he winds up having to show some form of mercy towards Cap and Bucky. You don't buy it for a second, because between the director trying to tell him that he has to accept it, and between the script saying he has to still be pissed off about it, Art Parkinson, when after he defeats his grandfather and shows him genuine mercy for all of the shit that his grandfather did, including take out his own goddamn eye, it just feels more genuine. It feels like this kid really cannot hold a grudge, even if he wants to. That's why, at least for me, Art Parkinson for Kubo is the better performance.
Okay, Matt, go ahead.
All right. And then, like I've said, I thought the kid who played Kubo was really good in the movie, but you could get another great actor, child actor, to play that role, and he would do as good of a job, if not better. With Iron Man, nobody else could play Tony Stark like Robert Downey Jr. There's not a single person. Yeah, you could have somebody play Tony Stark, but there's no one else who could play that role as good as he can. Robert Downey Jr. is basically Tony Stark. He's perfect for the role. Art is not the most. He's great in the movie, but he's not the perfect choice for Kubo. Is that?
Okay, all right. So I heard enough. So let's get some facts real quick. Before Robert Downey Jr. was going to be Iron Man, it was originally going to be Tom Cruise, who was going to be Iron Man. Captain America Civil War was the highest grossing film in 2016 as of right now. We don't know how Star Wars Rogue One will do by the end of the year. But as of right now, the highest grossing film of 2016 was Captain America Civil War. Now, Disney has had such a groundbreaking year with 3 movies that hit the $1 million box office, but Kubo and the Two Strings was unfortunately, with Disney having a big year, they also had a couple bombs, including the BFG and Pete's Dragon, and Kubo and the Two Strings is in that list as well. So, but for the pick, I'm going to give it to Matt, and here's the reason why. I was on your board, Chris, and here's what I'm saying. I was on your board when you were saying this, but when he said that you could literally take out anybody else and put in like Jacob Tremblay or something like that, where he felt like you could put in somebody, but what he said was you felt that raw emotion from Tony Stark. And I'm also giving you a little bit of crap here too, Matt, because I was kind of expecting you to kind of talk also about the mentoring with Tom Holland as Spider-Man, where that kind of sold as well. But you also brought the reality of Iron Man that hasn't been seen in any other movies since the original. So, but does that make sense?
Yeah.
Chris, does that make sense to you?
Oh, sure. I'll give him the point.
Oh, good bromance. That's what everybody needs. All right, so we're going to take a 2-1 for Matt. But going into round 4, what is the most disappointing film of 2016? And for this, I'm going to have you guys each tell me what is your worst, biggest disappointment. So, Chris, what is yours?
Batman versus Superman.
Matt, what is yours?
Suicide Squad.
Okay, so Matt, I am going to have you go first. Why is Suicide Squad the most disappointing film of the year?
Look, we can all agree, before Suicide Squad came out, those trailers came out, they looked like it was going to be a fun, awesome movie, and it looked like it was going to be the movie that would set DC on its course, where it should be. Not to say that their movies before weren't good or weren't bad, but this was going to be the movie that was going to really kick off the DC universe as far as, not just critics or not just fans, but critics, loving the movie. And everybody just loving it. You have Will Smith, Margot Robbie, Jared Leto, Cara Delevingne. You have all these people in the movie that everybody seems to love. And also mention Viola Davis. You have all these people in it. You have David Ayer directing it. It looks awesome. It can't be bad, right? Well, let's just say if Chris would have took Norm of the North, I would have took Suicide Squad as the worst movie of 2016. There is nothing good besides maybe one thing in this movie, which is why it's my second, not my first least favorite. We have one of the worst villains, maybe of all time, not just comic book, but also in any genre. At least Batman versus Superman had one of the greatest, if not the greatest, Batman performances ever from Ben Affleck. At least the action was good in it. This movie was not funny at all. Like it looked like it was going to be. A lot of stuff was cut out too with the Joker and other things that might have actually improved the movie overall. It was just a mess, and I really am scared for Gotham City Sirens with David Ayer directing it because it looks like it's gonna be a mess. So yeah,
Okay,
that and I got
alrighty,
other
Chris.
things saved.
Yeah.
I can name one
Our-
big problem with your argument right now. Everything that you just said at the beginning of your argument, you could say the same damn thing for Batman vs Superman. This was going to be the film that everyone thought was just going to kick off the DC universe. This was the film that the trailers made look great. And how much did we actually get from said trailers? Pretty much those scenes, and that was about it. You want to talk about an incoherent mess? Batman vs Superman can't decide whether or not it's trying to tell the story of Clark Kent facing off against Supreme Court judges. It can't tell if it wants it to be Batman trying to decide if Superman is a threat or not to the world at large. It can't decide if Lex Luthor is being a whiny pain in the ass little bitch about trying to take over the world or not. The main problem with Batman v Superman is it's too busy trying to set up other films and other franchises that it literally gives no craps about its own story. It was more concerned about, suddenly we have to kill off Clark Kent. It's too busy trying to be 20 films when it can't even be one film.
Okay, so what are we going to do for these last two arguments? Because we know there's going to be a speed round. But anyway, like I was saying, I'm going to do a 1 minute fight, like for you guys about your arguments, and then we'll have the final arguments. Okay, so 1 minute going now.
All right. Yeah, Batman vs Superman is a little messy. Yeah, that's fair to say. But you still have a great performance from most of the main cast, besides, Jesse Eisenberg, who was just, not that great in the movie at all. But we got maybe the best Batman ever, which, I mean, the action scenes with Batman are fantastic. All the action scenes are great in the movie as well. Henry Cavill is born to play Superman, to be the second best Superman, but he is also born to play that role. And Gal Gadot, who knew she was going to be that good as Wonder Woman? Well, I'm not Harloff, but she was fantastic in the movie.
Okay. Suicide Squad, at least. You want. Again, I can make the same arguments for Suicide Squad. You had your Will Smith. You had your Margot Robbie. You had your Jared Leto. You had the guy who played Diablo. All giving genuinely great performances. The problem with Batman v Superman is that, again, this screwed up first. This screwed up the biggest. Suicide Squad, we were expecting it to kind of suck because Batman v Superman sucked so hard the first time around that it took an ultimate cut to somewhat save the film, and then it still had problems because...
Time. Alrighty, so what we're going to do now is give you guys your last full arguments, and go ahead.
All right, you want to go first, Chris?
Yeah, let Chris go first, and then I will let you go first. Next.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So Batman v Superman had so much writing on it. It had to build off a film that was already divisive, Man of Steel, and it had to give credibility to this universe that Zack Snyder and DC were trying to set up. Unfortunately, it bit them in the ass so hard that it took an ultimate cut, and it took the promise made of 3 other franchise films just to somewhat justify this film's existence. The fact that this film has to now rely on other films to make it better by proxy is unforgivable. That's why it's a bigger disappointment, because it will take other films just to save this one.
Alrighty, Matt, go ahead. Final argument.
All right. Okay, to go back on one of your things you said where because of Batman v Superman we expected Suicide Squad to suck, I think that was just you because everybody was still pumped for Suicide Squad. This was arguably, next to like Rogue One, the most anticipated movie for a lot of people for 2016, maybe even over Batman vs Superman originally. Captain America Civil War, I don't know, that's give or take with some people, but Jared Leto was not a good Joker. He was actually one of the worst Jokers ever. And I'm not saying it's Leto's fault. That's Warner Brothers' fault as well. Yeah, Will Smith was good. Yeah, Margot Robbie was good, but I would rather watch Lex Luthor feed somebody a Jolly Rancher and give somebody a Granny Smith tea than watch the Enchantress do her weird dance or whatever. It was a horrible thing, and David Ayer ruined such an iconic character as far as a villain. It could have been such a great villain, especially for female villains. But it was just so horrible. It crashed to the ground, and poor DC, I really hope he turned it around. I mean, it was just maybe a bigger mess.
Well, I'm going to call it there. I am going to call it there. Okay, so Matt, this last argument kind of saved you, but here's the thing. I want to give the point to Chris because what he said was when he first gave that point, when he said was, I'm going to take everything you said and I'm going to kind of spin it on you because I think that's what sold me because I understand you didn't like the movie. I thought the movie was great. I thought it was fine. It does have a lot of shit problems. And Chris kind of said there are some things you can definitely take from that. Now, I enjoy both movies. And this is just based on your guys' opinions. But I felt like Chris gave me the better synopsis of where your final rebuttalments really did kind of save you a little bit. But I'm going to give the point to Chris, which means, folks, we are going into the speed round right after this last question. We all knew it was going to be this close of a game. But, gentlemen, do you have anything to say to each other before we move on?
Obviously, Beer, I respect the living hell out of you. And to be fair, I actually did enjoy Suicide Squad somewhat.
Yeah, I actually kind of enjoyed BVS too. I mean, it wasn't the greatest thing ever, and unfortunately, we did get a no, Christopher. But it was kind of fortunate to see Batman, this great of a Batman, being just an okay movie. But it's a good game so far.
Oh yeah, great game.
Tell me,
loving it.
Tell me, please, you will. Alrighty, so we're going to move on to round 5 because we are also going to speed round, so this kind of really matters. Not really, but anyway. Moving on to this, what is the biggest surprise of 2016? Guys, I'm going to have you guys give me your answers real quick.
Ghostbusters.
La La Land.
Wow. Woo. Holy shit. Alrighty. So I think Matt went last. So Chris, yeah. I'm gonna give it to you.
No. I went first last time, and so this time it's.
Oh, Matt. You went first?
Yep.
Okay. Alrighty. So I'm gonna give it to Matt. You go first. Why is Ghostbusters the most surprising movie of the year?
Okay. Look, we all can agree that Ghostbusters looked like it might have been the worst movie of 2016 from the trailers. They were some of the worst trailers I've ever seen in my life. There's nothing in that trailer that looked like it could have saved the movie. But it actually ended up being decent. And that surprised me because I was expecting this garbage movie to be worse than Norm of the North potentially because it just looked unfunny. There's some things that made it look a little sexist in the movie overall, and it was kind of getting me upset because Ghostbusters is such a classic movie for a lot of people who grew up with it, and I loved the Ghostbusters movie too. So, I mean, not because it's women, but it looked like it was going to tarnish, what Ghostbusters, was. Yeah, the second one wasn't good, but, still, the first one's great, and this looked like it could have ruined the first one's legacy. With I don't want to go into that yet. But anyway, it actually ended up being pretty decent. It actually ended up being pretty funny at parts. And I actually ended up rolling on the floor in a couple scenes. And Chris Hemsworth, man, he was incredible in that role. He was maybe the best part, which is kind of weird to say for a female Ghostbusters movie. So that and then a couple reasons I'll save later. That's why Ghostbusters, to me, is the biggest surprise of 2016.
Alrighty, Chris, go ahead.
I don't know what movie you watched, but that doesn't sound like Ghostbusters. No, La La Land is the biggest surprise of the year because in a day and age where a good musical that's live action is pretty much non-existent, at least not since the likes of Hairspray, and that was pretty much the last one.
Les Miserables.
Well, yeah, but that wasn't good. where a good musical film was pretty much dead. It was so refreshing to finally see a musical that had some balls, a musical that had some class, a musical that had some talent, one where the songs, the choreography, and just the performances from the main two leads sold you on this film. It took you back to the age of Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. It took you back to, the days of Gene Kelly, and it just made you think, oh my God, musicals used to be amazing, and now they've gotten overblown, they've gotten overdramatic, and frankly, for the most part, they suck. But now we have a musical that proves musicals can still be good.
All right, gentlemen, 1 minute starting now. Fight.
All right. Well, I will say with La La Land, I knew that was going to be a really good movie. Look at the director that was attached to it. He directed, Whiplash, which was a great movie. He also got Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling, and when they're together, you usually see something good. Let's not talk about Gangster Squad. That's one thing. They can have one bad movie, but they're both great actors and actresses. The movie looked, beautiful all around. Ghostbusters looked absolute garbage, and it actually ended up being decent. To me, the biggest surprise isn't what's the best movie. It is what had the, biggest separation from what you thought it was going to be to what it actually became.
All right, 1 minute for you, Chris, and go.
Yeah, but don't act like Damien Chazelle has only made good stuff. I mean, for God's sakes, he was a big part of The Last Exorcism Part 2, and he also was one of the dingbats who brought 10 Cloverfield Lane in terms of the script. With all due respect, I know you like that film, Chris, but I didn't like it.
Yeah,
and with Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone, again, Gangster Squad. It could have just been just as bad as that film was with those two, but instead, because somehow the chemistry clicked, the songs were great, the script was great, it was just meant to be. Whereas with Ghostbusters, nobody wanted the reboot. The ads looked like crap. Nobody wanted this film, and it wasn't that great. It had a couple chuckles, sure, but that was at the expense of other genders. Yeah, sure, you can make the same argument for the original Ghostbusters. It was a little sexist towards women in that film. And here's a lot sexist towards men.
All right, time. Final arguments. Go ahead.
All right, and I agree with you. A lot of people thought it looked like garbage. The ads were garbage, and nobody wanted the movie. But it wasn't that bad, like you said. Wasn't that bad at all. I don't know a single person at all that wasn't pumped for La La Land, that didn't think it was going to be fantastic. It looked beautiful. It looked, like it could have been a contender for the best of the year. And like I said, Damien Chazelle did Whiplash and brought great performances out of everybody involved, including J.K. Simmons. Paul Feig never directed a PG-13 movie. Most of these actors that were in it were either haven't been in much at all or were 50-50 on their movies, which I'm talking about Melissa McCarthy and Christian Wiig on that point. And then, like you said again, it wasn't too bad at all. It looked like it was going to be garbage and nobody wanted it. But people wanted to see La La Land really bad. And I got people living across the street from me who will literally kill a child to go see La La Land if they have the opportunity. So that's why I think Ghostbusters is a bigger surprise for 2016 than La La Land is.
All righty, Mr. Dohmen. Go ahead.
Here's the problem with Ghostbusters. It was a cash grab. Don't pretend for a second that it wasn't. It was a cash grab from the get-go. La La Land is actually a pretty original take on a story that has been seen before, but it's done in a way that is absolutely spectacular. We didn't need Ghostbusters. but we did need La La Land because this could be the film that puts musicals back on people's radars in the best possible way. Because, yeah, like I said, when your last decently received musical was Les Miserables, that's a problem. That's a huge problem. So, which would you rather have? A film that we didn't need to have to begin with, or a film that could save an entire freaking genre? I would rather take the latter. Thank you very much.
Alrighty, well, I'm going to call it there. This was a tough one, but I think I'm going to give it to Chris, and here's the reason why. He pretty much told me that the age of musicals were pretty much over. You look at movies like Westerns, you look at the Westerns that came out today, I think Hell or High Water, you would say, was the movie that kind of recaptured the Western genre. Well, like La La Land, probably more likely, I think everybody here can agree, will win Best Picture. I think it's going to recapture that musicals that we all loved from the 50s and the 60s. Well, for you, Matt, you said, yes, it wasn't a movie that we all expected it to be, but it didn't turn out the way we all hoped it would. And I like how you said it was funny in some points, but I think he kind of clobbered you when he said this point in this round, because he kind of just, I think you gave a really good argument, but I think he really gave a better assumption, I would say. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Alrighty. So the score right now is 3-2. We're going into the speed round, folks. This is kind of where everything matters right now, because so here's the thing. We have the pre-tournament coming up next month is pre-tournament month, and we have this big tournament, which is kind of like the March Madness, where I think we're all going to go together and put all these fighters who are coming into in January are going to be fighting for the most, and these guys are going to help me out with them, fact checking and stuff like that. But so if Chris wins today out of this round in the speed round, he will be taking over Jen's spot as the number 1 seed and will clinch a bye. Now, if Matt wins, he will take over Chris's spot right now as the number 2, and Jen and Matt will be the 2 competing in the bye week. And Chris will be heading into the last fighter standing, which is kind of the Royal Rumble of the whole movie fights, which is going to be so fun, by the way. That being said, guys, let's get into the speed round. We're introducing a new topic, and that is the bargain buy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you guys a thing, and you're just going to have 10 seconds. So, Chris, could you put up the 20 seconds clock on your computer when I tell you guys the bargain buys when you're ready? So the bargain buy for you guys is which comedy film in 2016 would you either buy? Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yep.
Central Intelligence or Zoolander 2?
Central Intelligence.
Central Intelligence.
I heard Chris first.
Oh,
So-
all right. Here we go. Fun.
Alrighty, Chris, can you put up 20 seconds on the clock?
Mm-hmm.
So you're going first, correct?
Yep.
Alrighty. When you're ready, go ahead.
Unlike Zoolander 2, which was a god-awful film, Central Intelligence was actually a fun film that had a lot of great action, a lot of great jokes, and it actually had a very believable chemistry between its 2 main stars, Kevin Hart and The Rock. This was a film that was just so much more fun than it had any right to be, and then we all just loved it.
All right. Central Intelligence had a horrible CGI Rock, and Kevin Hart wasn't really that good in it. He wasn't that funny. He really is not funny in his movies at all. But we got Owen Wilson with many kids, and he had sex with an animal. How can you not love that? And also, Ben Stiller is back, and they look like they tried in this movie. And I love
Time.
people who try.
I was about to say, that was almost as bad as my incest joke from last time.
Bestiality. What a wonderful thing.
Chris, do you think this is kind of the same humor as the incest joke?
Oh, good lord. All right.
All right, Chris, are you ready for your 10 seconds? Oh, my God.
Just a second.
Oh, my God.
All right.
Alrighty. 10 seconds.
Zoolander 2 was trying to go on the same level of shock humor as something like Freddy Got Fingered, whereas Central Intelligence was actually clever and smart. It wasn't just a dumb comedy.
Time. Alrighty. Alright, Matt, when you're ready, 10 seconds.
All right. All right, did Central Intelligence kill Justin Bieber? No. Zoolander 2 killed Justin Bieber, and America loves it for that, and they should. Thank you, Ben Stiller.
Time.
There, that's all I got.
Only possible
'Cause
defense for that film.
Because that is what America will honestly say. We'll be crying because Justin Bieber got killed. Okay. Alrighty. So what I'm gonna do, because this was a tough one, I didn't really know. So for each argument, Chris, yes or no, did Matt beat you in your own perspective? If you were the judge right now.
No.
Okay. Matt, did Chris beat you, yes or no, in your own argument?
I don't know, to be honest. I mean, I agree his movie's the best, for sure.
Yes, it is. I love the movie.
I don't know. That's up to you. That's Coca-Cola, firing me up right there. So
I love the little rant, but I got to give it to Chris. I think
that's understandable.
Sample. All right. So what is it? 4-2. All right.
Yep.
All right, Matt. You got to bring your A game next. Next, we're gonna go into the best comedic performance of 2016. Gentlemen, who are you picking? I'm just kidding.
Let me think about that. This is a little difficult.
Yeah. There weren't that many good comedies this year.
Yeah.
The nice guys.
Oh, Ryan Gosling. Then I'll go Ryan Gosling.
Ooh.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh,
Ryan
shit.
Reynolds, Deadpool.
Duh! I was like waiting for him to say it. Alrighty. Matt, 20 seconds. Let me know when you're ready, Chris, and I'll say go.
Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool was more of just comedy, and it was just one layered in that point. While Ryan Gosling not only brought his A game into comedy, he also did the dramatic stuff, the better of the two, and he also brought more emotion subtly than Ryan Reynolds did.
Ryan Reynolds is the superior choice here because he had a much more layered range of comedy. Yeah, sure, he went for some more immature humor, but he also had some great one-liners. He had some great fourth wall breaking. He had a lot more varied performances than people give him credit for, and his dramatic range was from one place to another.
Alrighty, time. 10 seconds.
All right, Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool was good, but it was more slapstick than anything. Ryan Gosling was more real, down to earth type of comedy, and
You want down to earth? Wade Wilson was just an everyday guy who just tried to help people, but was a douchebag about the way he did it, and then he became a superhero reluctantly. Thus, he had more of an arc.
Oh, Jesus. I'm going to give it to Matt. I think this was a tougher one because each of these guys really sold them on their performances, but I think Matt really brought more understanding. This was a tough one. But yeah, I'm going to go Matt. I felt like you really were right about him, but I think you gave the better point about Ryan Gosling, where you can always see him as like this dramatic actor, but he also brought something different, while Ryan Reynolds is usually that dude who's trying to bring the comedy style like Harrison Ford in Star Wars or things like that. So what is the score right now? Is it 4-3?
Yes.
So this is going to be a little tougher. Here we go. What superhero film was the best superhero film in 2016? Go.
Captain
Deadpool.
America Civil War. Captain America Civil War.
What did you say, Chris?
Deadpool.
Okay. Alrighty. Who went first last? Matt?
Yep.
I went first last year.
Alrighty, Chris. When you're ready, 20 seconds.
Deadpool was a way more ballsy film. It was the first R-rated comic book film to gross over $300 million at the box office. It took so many more risks in terms of the violence. It took so many risks in terms of the language. It took so many more risks in terms of what it could get away with. Captain America: Civil War played it safe for the most part, minus a couple of twists.
Alrighty, Matt. Whenever you're ready.
All right. Ballsy doesn't equal quality to me. Quality is what's a better well-written movie and directed movie. Yeah, Deadpool's good, but Captain America Civil War had more to it. It had more of a better dramatic, and to get all these heroes put together, that could have been very difficult, but they did it in a very good way and balanced it very well. And Deadpool didn't. Yeah,
Time.
there you go.
Alrighty, 10 seconds, Chris, whenever you're ready.
The problem with having so many characters is that you don't really give any of them that many chances to shine, whereas with Ryan Reynolds, he completely owned his own film.
Alrighty, Matt, 10 seconds, whenever you're ready.
All right. Deadpool was more for comedy, while Captain America Civil War had the better action. It had really good comedy in it as well, and it also got the dramatic and more emotional beats down.
Time.
And better than Civil War. Or, yeah, Deadpool.
Oh my god, you guys are killing me. Alright, I think that last 10 seconds, Chris, I think he got you in that last 10 seconds.
He did. I will
He
admit that.
really did, to be honest. I was wanting to hear how he was going to back that up, but he got you. I think that is the truth. So it's 4-4. Let's move on. Okay, so right now I am going to give you guys a couple more questions. Now the score is 4-4. If one of you guys gets 5-4, I think if it goes to 5-5, we'll do a sudden death match, which I kind of think it might. Actually, just depends. So let's get into it, guys. Matt, this is the moment to shine. Last time, I believe you're in this situation, and you lost by just the touch of your breath. Chris, this, I think, is where either you fall or you rise. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yep.
In 2017, we're going to have so many big blockbusters coming out. Besides Star Wars and Guardians of the Galaxy, what movie do you think will rise above the challenge?
War
Go.
for the Planet of the Apes.
Thor Ragnarok.
Ooh, alrighty. Are you sure about that, Matt? Because you missed one.
I mean, I could have went with Spider-Man, but
That's what I thought you would have went. Alrighty.
I got more for
So,
this.
who went first last?
Yeah, it looks like War of the Planet of the Apes can be good, but that's what we all expect. But the last Thor movie, and maybe even the first, some people, weren't that good. Now we got a great director who did What We Do in the Shadows coming in. We got the Hulk coming in, and we probably will see Thanos in. This is going to be a fun movie, and it could potentially be maybe the best superhero movie of 2017.
Alrighty, Chris, whenever you're ready,
Okay,
20
you did
seconds.
not just say a sentence out loud. War for the Planet of the Apes could, if it's great, could make this one of the greatest film trilogies of all time. Something we have not seen since the original Star Wars trilogy or Indiana Jones trilogy. The problem with the Thor trilogy is that the first two films, aren't that great. But if we can have another great trilogy, which is so rare these days, that would be amazing.
Alrighty, 10 seconds. Ready, Matt?
Yeah.
Alrighty,
All right,
go.
Thor Ragnarok has Jeff Goldblum, which is awesome. And also, I would rather see a movie come off of a really bad movie be
Time.
great than, yeah, there.
Alrighty, Chris, whenever you're ready.
War for the Planet of the Apes has Woody Harrelson and Andy Serkis squaring off against each other. You tell me that's not better than seeing just Jeff Goldblum by himself? No. This is going to be the better film because it'll have better action.
Oh, you guys are killing me. First off, Chris, I really was hoping you mentioned Lord of the Rings when you said Indiana Jones and Star Wars first off, because you didn't mention Lord of the Rings, and that was.
But that's going to lose me the point.
No, it's not going to lose you the point. Calm down, because I'm actually going to give you the point. Because I think you had the better settlement, but I'm just saying, I was surprised you didn't say Lord of the Rings.
I was going to, but I ran out of time.
Alrighty. I love how you said, but that's going to lose you the point? Like you already felt like you already lost.
I don't know. I feel like at this point, Matt Beer could, sneeze and you would be like, Matt gets the point.
Oh, okay. I see how this is. Jesus. All right. But here's the reason why Matt. I'm giving it to Chris because I think he had the better description. While you're just going, hey, let's go Bloom over there or something like that. But I respect it. I'm very excited for the movie. But you also have to admit. He was kind of right. You had two movies that nobody expected to be great, and they were amazing each. And Thor 1 was great, but Thor 2 was not good at all. So I got to give the point to Chris.
That's understandable. After he started going, I was like, dang it, I should have mentioned the Hulk and Thor again.
Alrighty, guys, going into this is the crucial moment. Now, the question that we all want to know is we all say there's a movie that comes out this every once in a while. That even though we've been through 6 years in the 2000 decade, which movie do you think people will say that's the best movie of the decade? Like people said Lord of the Rings was. What do you think will be the best film in the decade for the first 6 years?
Mad Max Fury Road.
Inception.
Oh, I so wanted to hear him say Force Awakens, but damn it. Alrighty, so Mad Max Fury Road versus Inception. Who went last? Matt did, right? So Chris.
Yeah, I went first last.
Chris, it's up to you. Make me proud. I love Mad Max. I'm sorry, just make me proud.
Inception will go down for having a lot of great ideas, but the problem with that film is that so many other films have now done some of the similar things to that and have done it better. Like Doctor Strange did his visual style better. Hans Zimmer has gone to do better scores in the vein of Inception, but better. Whereas Mad Max Fury Road tells its story so visually perfect, it cannot be rivaled in the near future.
Alrighty, Matt, 20 seconds. When you're ready, make me proud.
All right. Mad Max Fury Road is great visuals but little story. Inception has multiple things going on at the same time. It's the most original movie of this decade so far. You also have a better performance from Hardy in this than you do in Mad Max, but that's understandable because there's no talking from him basically in this one. But
Time.
Yeah, I'll take
Tom Hardy was better in Fury Road because all of his acting revolved around his actions and his facial expressions. He didn't have to say anything, whereas he was underutilized in Inception, if you're going to go for that point.
All right. I would rather have a movie be remembered for its multiple layers of storytelling and also great performances from Leo, maybe his best in a while, than having a movie that has very little story but multiple.
Time. Sorry.
Oh, my God. Chris, he killed it that last 10 seconds, didn't he? I really thought he did.
Well, with the given extra time, sure.
I got to give it to Matt.
God damn you. Skip
You
this.
guys know that means in the history of fan movie fights, 2 rounds, we have never, ever had a sudden death match. But now, if you gentlemen want to do the dark voices with me, we're going to have a sudden death match, which means, technically, this is the last quote, which we're going to still do based on the decade for this year. This last point will determine everything going on. If Chris wins, he is the number 1 seed. He will have a bye week, and he'll be ahead of the total knockout by the queen of Schmoville herself, Jen Kemp. Now, if Matt wins, holy shit, if Matt wins, this will probably be the biggest upset in fan movie fights history as of right now. So, Matt, you kind of have a lot of pressure on you. How do you feel?
Well, I mean, if you played Jen again or Chris and beat them, I would say that would be a bigger upset. But I feel good.
How are you feeling right now, Chris? I know you're a little pissed off, probably, but
Let's get it over with.
How are you feeling? All right, here we go. Which scene from the entire decade of 2000 to 2016, including Mad Max Fury Road, Birdman, every movie that's come out, which scene do you think people will say that's the scene that stole the entire decade of film? Go.
The end of Inception.
Could you repeat the question one more time?
I sure can. The question was, which scene from any film from 2000 to 2016, meaning Mad Max, Birdman, Inception, any of those films that came out that decade, will be the movie where people go, oh, that's the scene that I will remember for the entire decade.
So wait, you said from 2000, but do you mean 2010?
I mean, yeah, 2010 to 2016. That's what I meant.
I was gonna say, I was like, that's a really
that's
weird
the movie
thing.
that got me into that.
The final drum solo in Whiplash.
Oh, shit. Alrighty, Chris. Here we go. 20 seconds on the clock.
The final drum solo in Whiplash is what will go down as one of the most greatest scenes of all of film. Period, because of how much is riding on this one scene where Miles Teller has to prove to both J.K. Simmons and to himself that he can do what needs to be done as a professional drummer.
All right, 20 seconds when you're ready, Matt. And by the way, when this is all over, this is going to be the kind of thing where I'm going to go, your winner is. And that's what we're going to do with Sudden Deathmatch, where you don't know which side I'm going to pick. But, I mean, this is kind of where it's all about. This is the big match. I don't know if I ever have one like this in a long time. You ready, Matt?
Yep.
All righty. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Whiplash end is really good, but the end of Inception still makes people wonder what actually happened, because that's Spindle. Did he wake up and is he not in a dream anymore, or is he still in his dream? That's something people are going to remember more than the final drum sequence.
All righty. You ready, Chris? 10 seconds.
The spinning top was just a cheap way to put suspense of a cliffhanger in the film. The final drum solo actually gives closure to the entire film and Miles Teller's character arc as a whole.
Ooh. All right, Matt. It all comes down to this. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Go.
All right, people still question whether he's in a dream or not. Yeah, the drum sequence is cool, like I said, but people are still asking, and I don't even think they gave an answer to what happened at the end. Yeah.
All right, are you gentlemen ready so I can make the announcement?
Yep.
Are you ready, Chris?
Oh, Lord.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Your winner going 2-0 and moving on to the number 1 seed and becoming the first round bye, Chris Skywalker Dohmen. Congratulations. First off, I want to say it was a very, very close fight. It definitely did this really just suspense you guys? Because I know you guys are both like, oh shit. Because
admittedly, yes.
What about you, Matt?
A little.
Alrighty. Well, congratulations, guys. This was definitely a fight where you two played the best you guys can. And this also is proving that this is what the future of fan movie fights is. Because if you take a look at it, this kind of sets in tone what the rest of the fan fights will be. It's going to be one of those that I definitely think will, like Civil War, will turn the tide for fan movie fights. Would you guys agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt, how do you feel right now? You're 0-2, unfortunately, but you are going into the last fighter standing. You kind of had yourself at an edge. How are you feeling right now?
Just moving on to final fighter standing.
Alrighty. And Chris, I know you did. Did you think I kind of picked Matt where I should have picked you in some? I know you're kind of feeling that, are you?
There was a couple times, but there was one big one, but it's fair, and I'm not saying you were doing a bad job at judging. You're doing a great job at this. Yeah,
I'm doing what I have to. I mean, you guys give great arguments.
Well, yeah.
And it might have been easier if I had like Jen or something be my fact checker, and she could help me decide as well. But she just couldn't make it today. But how do you feel going into as the number 1 seed now?
Oh.
And also, you're in the bye, so you have a couple. The question is, now that you're out and you're the number 1 seed, are we not going to see you compete until February?
Probably, in all honesty. It's only because I still have, the Schmoedown League to also be running and doing stuff for, so.
Matt, we all are expecting, will you be back in the middle of January fighting?
If I can't clinch the number 2 seed, no.
Well, technically, you didn't clinch the number 2 seed because he
no.
is
if I can't get the number 2 seed or clinch that spot by playing another match, then no, is what I'm saying. I'll just wait till the match.
So you're gonna wait till last fighter standing then?
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, I might need your help, especially since we're getting new recruits. We'll be back, guys. Next week we have Mike Hanley going up against Evan DeGraff, as well as I might be getting a special guest, guys, who might be coming on the show. Is a good buddy of mine. But that being said, thank you to each of the competitors. It's been one night to remember. And all of us, where can we find you? First off, Chris Dohmen, thank you so much. We're very excited for the tournament. Where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at my band Last Shot at Redemption at LSAR Band MN. You can also find me in the Schmoville and Movie Trivia Schmodown pages, as well as one of the heads of the Fan Movie Trivia Schmodown League.
And Matty Boy, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at It's Matt Beer. You can also find me in my room alone on Friday nights playing Xbox like Ken, crying. And you can also find me on my channel, That Movie Guy.
All right, well, I want to thank you guys. You guys can find me at Chris.Day1995. We're very excited for the new recruiters coming on. 2016 has been such an incredible year. Happy New Year to everybody. Hope you guys have a good one. We'll see you guys next month.